All right, man. Thanks for being here on the All Bets Are Off podcast. How you doing today?
I'm doing good. Thank you for having me, Robby Vegas.
Man, this is going to be a good time. We've been talking about it for a couple months now, so we finally nailed it down, and we're here, and we're bringing it to the people.
Yes, sir. We are here.
So let's start out with this. When did you first get into rock and roll?
Wow, I first got into rock and roll way back in the 70s when my grandmother brought home from Roanoke, Virginia, the Kiss Destroyer album. And that was it. I wanted drums for Christmas, and I had one drum. I think it was a snare, and I would beat the devil out of it to every Kiss song on that album. That's when I got started. And earlier that, my grandmother was really instrumental in a lot of my music because she was somewhat of a celebrity in the Richmond, Virginia area. She
Oh
was a
well.
piano player and she performed for Elizabeth Taylor. A lot of people probably don't even know who she is because that shows my age. But she did some stuff with Lionel Richie, and she actually taught Paul Stanley how to walk like a woman in Roanoke, Virginia, at the Civic Center in about '76. And
Wow.
it was amazing for me as a child to hear all those things. Of course, she got to see me without his makeup back then, and she had a modeling convention there because she taught modeling, and that's
Wow.
she got a request while she was in town for that. So that was huge for me as a child, and to be in that family. And she had also put me in a lot of children's theater and
Mm,
things like that. So that kind of just put the fire in me at a young age. Yeah.
that's awesome. So your first instrument then was the drums?
It was actually the drums, yeah. And
Excellent.
I always would learn like Pink Floyd, The Wall, and you could hear the beats and stuff, and I could just feel it all. So it was a buddy named Floyd Henderson. I'll never forget him from high school when I could always play, beats and stuff, but I could never do that halftime, and double up the kicks and all that. And
Mm.
this guy, he was just such a cool kid. He was in our high school and he had the Scorpions album with No One Like You, and they had that all that weird stuff, and he taught me how to do that, and that's when I learned how to really start playing.
Oh,
But
that's
I never really played drums in a band like full time or
really. So when you started playing in bands, was it straight to vocals or what were you doing?
it was a weird thing because I picked the guitar up at around 13,
Okay.
14, 15, and I had failed school so much in middle school that my history teacher said she knew how to play Stairway to Heaven on the guitar and she would teach me if I brought my grades up. So I brought my grades up and I got to play Stairway to Heaven in front of the whole school. And then after that, I failed. But it was cool. It was a taste of wow. The kids loved it. I could feel it. And then I switched to vocals full time when I was about 17.
Okay, so where does professional wrestling happen? When does that come about?
Man, that comes about only the last year and a half, which is really, really cool because, I've been doing the tribute band for about 13, 14 years now.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you know how that goes, but it's up and down, man. It's like, boom, I did America's Got Talent, and then I did the Ozzy Osbourne World History Detour thing with Jack and Ozzy.
Hmm.
And when I did that, it really would put me on the map for like a year, and then it would fade out and get slow again. So you know, the Micro Wrestling Federation, the owner Jack called me a year and a half ago and said they were going to be filming a Discovery Channel season. First season, no, sorry, 6 seasons for the 6 episodes for the first season, and he wanted to hire my entire band to play Microfest in Nashville,
Hmm.
which would be the finale. So, long story short, he hired my band to do that. They didn't want nothing but little people in the show for the most part. So, he hired me after that to become a full time part of the Micro Wrestling Federation. I sing and perform a few Ozzy songs nightly, and I am the match commentator
Hmm.
as well. So it's the coolest gig I've ever had next to being Little Ozzy and playing. Of course, the loud music and the 2 hours of Sabbath and Ozzy is great, but it's a break to do 8 minutes every night and then just talk and run my mouth the rest of the night.
Well,
Yeah.
so I guess my question then, so it's relatively new. You said a year and a half, but were already a wrestling fan before that, or no?
You know, it's funny. I never was a big wrestling fan, but all my life, like I would go to a match when I was young, like in my hometown, and there I met Roddy Piper one year in the summer of '82, I think, or '80. I can't even remember. '84. It was way back there, and Ivan Koloff, and so I knew who they were and stuff, but I never dreamed I would be like a part of it. You know,
So when did Little Ozzy itself actually start?
Little Ozzy started about 14 years ago in Richmond, Virginia. I had toured with a midget Kiss band
Hmm.
called Mini Kiss for 4 years, and that was kind of cool because I learned the ropes and I got to cover my face, so nobody knew who I really was, anyways. You know, but it was neat because it taught me the ropes and wow, I can do this. And then I had a lot of friends at home that, you look like Ozzy, you've always sounded like Ozzy. Could you, just try to put together a band? So that's what I did, and it's a funny thing because in the '80s, Bill Leverty from Powerhouse named me Little Ozzy.
Mm.
Back in the club days, way back in Richmond, Virginia, and I never dreamed that I would actually call it Little Ozzy, but it fits perfect with the little thing. So I
Mhm.
went back home to Richmond after I left Mini Kiss and started a real band with real musicians, and I know what I wanted, and I gained the attention of Sharon Osbourne and as well as Ozzy Osbourne. So that
S-
was quite a treat. It's been a success for me.
Well, I guess so. Obviously, you're an Ozzy fan to begin with. So, what was it like when Sharon and Ozzy, acknowledged you and you got to meet them and all that?
Well, the first time was I got a call from a talent scout saying, I'm from America's Got Talent, and we're looking for Little Ozzy to bring on the show. And I thought, wow, that's cool.
Hmm.
Scripted live reality show. But it was the greatest opportunity I ever had because they said, we're looking for Little Ozzy. You're the only one in existence. You're going to sing to Sharon Osbourne. She doesn't know you're coming.
Mm.
Howard Stern's going to X you. Howie Mandel's going to X you. But they paid me a healthy sum. And they flew me to St. Louis. They staged an audition. And it was so cool because when I got there, it was like, okay, this is really going to happen. And I chose to sing Mama, I'm Coming Home
Mhm.
to woo her. And exactly what I did. Um, they asked me. When I was singing there, it was really great. When I got home and I watched it, I was crushed because they were booing me and Xing me, and I was like, "What the heck?" That didn't happen when I was there. They
Mhm.
edited all these boos in and these X's
Mhm.
because it was an X. I knew I wasn't going to go forward. It was staged. It was
Yeah.
X from both of the Howies, and but Sharon didn't know what to expect, and she loved it. And they actually came and got me afterwards and took me on a golf cart to her dressing room where she hugged me, she thanked me, she said, "Oh, you just did great," and it made my life.
Mhm.
It was just incredible to be able to meet her in person and see her and hug her. And because they'd never ever given me a hard time, they've been nothing but gracious to me. When I say that, she said, "We'll see you soon," and I was like, "I'd love to see them soon again." And then I got a call a few years later from Ozzy himself.
Mm.
That was crazy, dude.
Well, that had to be a rush for you. So, how did that go?
Wow, that was really amazing. I had to get double hip replacements, and I had to take a year off of work, and I was really busy after America's Got Talent, and it was just something I didn't want to do. I pushed the pain pills and ate as many things as I could for a while until I got the surgery, and then I was just really depressed. And I went to rehearsals to tell the guys that we're gonna have to take a year off. And we had like 6 shows with Bret Michaels opening. That was kind of exciting, and I had to cancel everything. I just could not take it anymore. It was so
Wow.
difficult. And so I went to tell him, and I get a call. I answered, "Hello, this is Ozzy Osbourne." I said, "F you," and I hung the phone up. Who's that? That was a prank call. I get people call. My number's all over the internet. It's nothing new to call at 4 a.m. Bunch of guys. Is this really you? You know, this kind of crap. So about 8 minutes later, I got a call back from the History Channel that said, "You hung up on the Prince of Darkness," and I was like, my drummer was like, "Oh my God, you said this was going to happen." It was like prophecies from the Metal Kingdom. You know, it was really weird, but he was just, they were grateful, they were laughing, they were gracious, they were like, "Mom told us we're coming to Williamsburg and we have to meet you," and you could have just shot me. I was like, wow, it's incredible.
Wow,
Yeah,
that's amazing.
yeah,
And now, so I met you in Gatlinburg, that just
yeah.
this past year at the Monster Monster. I want to call it Monster on the Mountain still because that was such a cool name,
That's what
but
I still call it. Sounds cooler than
it does.
yeah.
And you were getting photos taken by Mark Weiss and all that, and so for the last 14 years, Little Ozzy has just taken off. And when you're not performing and you're not with wrestling and all these things, are you recognized everywhere you go as Little Ozzy?
It's a funny thing. I would say probably not as much right now as the wrestlers were,
Mm,
but way more than I was before I came out here. So it's pretty incredible. Yeah, I would probably say if I went into a Walmart right now,
mm,
anywhere in the country, somebody maybe 50% of the time will ask for a picture. I saw you
mm,
on TV, or I saw, yeah. So it's amazing. It's an amazing journey. I'm 57 years old, dude. My dream
mm,
was to be where I'm at now, in my 20s.
mm,
But it's almost like the good Lord just knew that I would have killed myself back then when I was a wreck and partying and doing all those things. So it's something that I'm enjoying right now, and it's come full circle. It's amazing. Like you said, I go to the Monsters on the Mountain hoping to meet people like you, hoping, Mark I've been friends with for 4 years, hoping I can meet some of the band guys, and never imagining that these people that I grew up with and worshipped on my walls, they actually knew who I was,
mm.
and to get up there with Choir Riot and do a number, it's just like, wow, it's an
Mm.
amazing time to be alive for me. I've got 5 years clean. I was a wreck, man. I've done it all, and it's gratitude. I get up every day and I'm just grateful, and it just keeps getting better and better.
Well, the cool thing too is the reason why I asked you about the recognition is because I had told some of my wrestling buddies that I was going to have you on, and they were super excited, and they all knew you, and yeah, they were super pumped to like hear the episode, and they were like, "Oh, you got to tell us when it drops and all that." So, that was cool. And then a few months back, I was at JD Legends, I think, in Ohio, and there's a picture of you on the wall. And
Oh,
I was like, oh my god! And that's when I sent that picture to you and was like, you're everywhere. And
oh, love that. Yeah.
so you mentioned being clean and sober for 5 years,
Yeah.
and this is happening or did happen because you became born again, correct?
Correct. Yes.
So how did you is that just something that kind of just you woke up one day and had an epiphany, or how does that happen?
You know what, man? It's really crazy because I had an experience when I was a child, um, with what I believe was the Lord. I got baptized when I was 13 and didn't live the wild life until after I was baptized. You see,
Hmm.
so I went through a lot of years of just no way, no way, no way, no way. And I had little moments here where I'm like, wow, I'm screwing my kids up. It's just I'm not available for them mentally. Up and down, up and down. Go to NA, stay clean a year, boom, nothing. Back at it. And yeah, with no bars hold, man. I'm not a basher on the head of the Bible. I'm not. I am a Christian. I had an experience 5 years ago in St. Augustine, Florida, that was to change my life. It was incredible. First of all, I was, when I say drugs, I was addicted for years to opioids, with
Mm.
pain and things like that. And, I got off the opioids, but I would always cross addict with something, weed, liquor, cocaine, whatever. I was off the opioids. That's fine. Well, I discovered back in the day there was something called crank. I didn't know that it was crystal meth. Really, I thought it was crank one night, and I did a bump of that, and it was like, wow, wow, wow. Can I get some of this? And so I was to spend probably a year and a half just, I mean, literally moving and moving, keeping my habit up until I probably was literally going insane.
Hmm.
And there was a guy named Bart Walsh. God rest his soul. I'd met him in Melbourne, Florida, previously that year, and he was playing guitar in Little Ozzy. And I had a show to do in Savannah, Georgia, and my wife, that is my wife now, my daughter was living with her in Florida, and I had a show, so I came from Virginia to Savannah, whacked out, no intention of ever going to Florida to visit them. And just, I was going to get back home and do the show and get back to Richmond and get back into my life and myself. And she asked me, did I want to come home? I should really come to Florida and visit with my daughter and stuff. So, I said I'd go there a week, and I literally, when I got to St. Augustine, Florida, after peeking out of the windows, laying in the floor of the car halfway down there, because the feds were still following me from Virginia, supposedly, I was to basically flush what I had in the toilet, um, get on my hands and knees, and just fight this like a man, a one-on-one with God. And I was going crazy because I would look out of the windows, and where we lived downtown St. Augustine, there was an apartment complex. It was an older folks home, retirement home, and they were screaming out the windows at me. And I was talking to, it's insanity when you stay up for weeks and you take that, and I get that, and it's insanity. But the crazy thing was, if you really want to hear this, I can go into the details.
Yeah.
It takes a second, but it's pretty amazing. Had my daughter there, and I had Johnny Lawrence, who's the lead guitarist now for Little Ozzy, who happened to marry my daughter, which is crazy. We were. I needed help because I really wanted to stop this, but I just couldn't. I couldn't do it, and I was dying to use, and I was going crazy. So I told my friend at the time, Natasha, to please just look at the phone book and call. Look up Pentecostal church. I hear these people are freaked out. They hold rattlesnakes. I don't care. I need something. Okay. So this little old man answers the phone, and he doesn't know me from. So I pray and I pray and he's like, call me tonight, son, and all this tonight. And I'm really having a hard time, and I'm getting over this, but I have these terrible pains in my neck. And so I went through a week of this, and 2 weeks, and got, kind of thinking, a little normal and stuff. And I got a job down there at a retail store. And one day after work, I closed up. I was riding a bike because I didn't have my license. I was that far gone. And I was going to use, and I went and bought some paraphernalia at a head shop. It said 1999 on the pipe. I scraped it. I couldn't get it off. Just the nine was still on it. It was wooden. And I got about halfway home that night, and it was getting ready to storm. And I got on my knees in the middle of a field, and I threw that paraphernalia as far as I could, and I just asked God, I need your help. And I had a little crying session, and I got back on the bike and I went home. And that night at 11:30, I don't know why we rode out. It was a beautiful Sunday night, and there was a street preacher in the street, and he came over to the car and started talking to Natasha in the car. And it was about a week later, not that night, it was about a week later, actually. I'm screwing it up here. About a week later, I'd still had nothing. And but a really bad ache in the back. And, this is the crazy part. I'm not one. If you go into a church and you see these people rolling around on the floor, that stuff freaks me out, man. It freaks anybody out. Um, in fact, the Bible even teaches against that. It says these people will come in and see you and they will think you're nuts. Don't
Hmm.
do church, but it's abused. But anyways, this guy was preaching to my wife to be, and my daughter was in the back seat. Her son was in the front seat and I was in the back, and I had had enough. I didn't want to hear this crap anymore. He starts talking about this guy that he delivered from drugs, and that he could see in his claw in the back of his neck, which I was like, oh my god, my neck's hurting right there, right? So no, what happened was I got out of the car and I was gonna walk back because I was just pissed. I didn't want to hear anymore. Spiritual it was. It was spiritual. What happened was I got out of the car and he pointed at me and I said, "Yeah, you need to pray for me like that." And he put his hand on my head and he started praying for me. And I just had a release and I just cried and I cried like a baby, man. And I cursed and I screamed and I yelled. And my daughter was in the back seat crying. And he said the most beautiful prayer for me. And the crazy thing was, Robbie, and I will tell this till the day I die, man, just like a ghost story or somebody would tell a ghost story, man. When he prayed for me and I felt that belief, I felt this ton that I can't explain of oppression lift from me.
Mm.
And I just knew that day that every pain, every lost failed marriage, every daddy issue, whatever the crap that was that kept me down was gone. And he had healed me. And I just knew that day I wasn't going to use again. And since that day, being homeless, uh, doing crystal meth, and he has restored to me in my life 100 times what I've ever had before in relationships with my children, a wife, a job, meeting cool people like you and doing things. It's just continual. And that's my story, man.
Wow. Wow. That's pretty amazing. And to stay on the topic of what you have going on and the whole Little Ozzy thing that came to you, you actually got to do a tribute album.
I did, yeah.
Let's talk about that. So when did that come out, and how did that come about? And let's get the listeners on board so they could check it out.
Heck yeah, that's great. Yeah, so the thing that was really cool about that was literally the same month that I had to take a year off and got the call from Ozzy. Before that, I'd gotten an email from a German man that was he's a history teacher in Germany, but he teaches it in English. He's an English history teacher or something.
Hmm.
I'm not sure, but he said he was putting together an original album and he wanted me to do the vocals, and I was like, "Wow, send me your stuff." So he sent me the scratch tracks, and I was like, "Whoa, man, this stuff sounds just like Sabbath." But it has Iron Maiden in it. It's just really cool. And this guy plays drums. This guy plays all the guitar, all the keyboards, and he's just phenomenal. So I agreed to do it, and he will not charge to this day for a CD or a song. You can download it free. It was called "The Evil That Thou Cannot Dispel," and it's just a really good song. His songs when it sounds just like Black Sabbath, you won't know the difference. And there's stuff that sounds like Iron Maiden, but it gave me a lot of freedom to be myself and sing my own style instead of Ozzy.
Hmm.
Yeah, it
That's
was
amazing.
awesome. Yeah.
So we talked a lot about Ozzy, obviously. We even mentioned Kiss, but if I were to ask you who your top four bands of all time are, who are they?
Man, it's so crazy, man, because there's so many of them. But it'd definitely be the original Blizzard of Oz right off the bat. But it goes even deeper. There's a lot of weird things that I like. I love Pink Floyd.
Mm-hmm.
I love that kind of stuff. I would probably say, man, that's a tough one, dude. I went through this glam phase where it was like, oh my gosh, the hair metal thing, where it was like Iron Maiden. So yeah, if I had to list them, honestly, my favorite bands would be Ozzy Osbourne,
Mm-hmm.
well, Black Sabbath and Ozzy Osbourne, somewhere one or two. It would definitely be Quiet Riot. It would definitely be your Slaughters, your hair metal guys, and I would have to go with Firehouse because those guys were always dear to me. And if it weren't for those guys, I probably wouldn't even be Little Ozzy today. I don't know. They taught me a lot.
That's awesome. That's a great lineup of bands that you just dropped there too. So I mean, obviously from just talking to me at the mountain that hair metal's my bag. Like
Yeah,
that's
and
my
your
thing.
band is so. I just couldn't believe how talented you were.
Oh,
You are.
thank you, man.
Yeah, I love your stuff.
I appreciate that very, very much.
Yeah,
So, this next thing that we're going to do here, we do it with everybody who comes on the show for the first time, and it's like a this or that round. We call it the lightning round, named after Britt Lightning of Vixen because she was the first one to do it.
nice.
And it's just whatever comes to mind as far as what your answers are, and it's just for people to get to know you on a different level instead of just your career. And these questions have nothing to do with anything; they're just for fun.
Right on.
All right. So the first one is going to be, what do you prefer, dessert or dinner?
Dinner.
How about New York style pizza or Chicago?
Definitely New York.
Are we going with a cabin or a beach house?
Definitely a beach house.
All right. How about, what's your favorite snack?
Wow. You know what? It would be these Quaker oat patties. They're real small, like crackers, but they have nothing. I'm really on this kind of health kick thing where they just have no oils and nothing that's bad for your heart in them, and it's all real and no GMOs and all that garbage.
I know
Yeah. So,
exactly. I know exactly those.
yep. It's crazy.
How about your favorite TV show?
Wow. Dude, you're gonna laugh when I say this. Probably Happy Days.
Oh, that's a great one. I mean,
I
listen,
love
you're
that.
talking to a guy whose favorite TV shows are I Love Lucy, Bewitched, The Munsters.
Yeah,
So like, Happy Days is right in there for me.
yeah, yeah. But now I've been watching this Turkish Empire show called Osman. It's kind
Hmm.
of cool with subtitles and it's really, really badass. Yeah.
Now, how about growing up? What was your favorite cartoon?
Bugs Bunny.
And all right, this is a weird one, but we're gonna do it. So you're
Love
going
it.
through you're going through the Bermuda Triangle. Are you going on a boat or are you going on a plane, and why?
Man, that's a tough one, bro. I would probably go on a plane because I would probably die quicker.
That seems to be the common theme.
Yep, yep, definitely.
What about if I asked you what's your favorite movie of all time?
Wow, I have so many of them, man. But I would say my favorite movie of all times would be The Shining.
Okay, so you kind of just answered my last question then, because it was going to be, are you a fan of horror movies?
I am, yeah. I'm guilty.
The
Yeah,
Shining is a fantastic, fantastic
it's
movie.
just so great, man. It
It
was
is.
in that movie.
So, what's coming up next for you? What can you tell us as far as shows for either your music or wrestling, or what's next?
Wow, I'm really excited. We toured for a year with the Micro Wrestlers. I mean, literally, my wife and I and two dogs in an RV in a different city for 280 days. So it was crazy, grueling. When he stopped me in Pigeon Forge and said, "I want you to work at the Microtorium," it has been wonderful, wonderful. There's talk we may get a Vegas residency.
Hmm.
For me, I'm willing to stay here. I'm willing to go to Vegas. I'm willing to. Do whatever that takes to keep that part of my career going, as well as I have a great boss that says, "Oh, you're going to go do a number with Quiet Riot. You need to take off. I'll fly in and work for you." So the Little Ozzy thing, it's been very scarce for the last year and a half. We've done hit and miss shows that are kind of worth it, but I've been getting a lot of calls in for spring up north and on some things. So the guys are getting really itchy. I have a great band. They all do other projects too, and they're just like, when are we going to do something? So I'm excited about a spring run, hopefully, at Little Ozzy and kind of putting my face back on the map so people can see not only is he 4'8", but man, he can still run. You
Love
know,
that for you. I love that for you. So, with all that being said, I want you to take the time right now to plug your social media wherever we can get information on you, what you're doing, your band, your music, your micro wrestling, all of it. Plug everything because we want people to be able to follow you and come out and see you and say, hey, we heard you on the All Bets Are Off podcast.
Thank you so much. Robbie Vegas is the sweetest dude I ever met. Check this out. LittleOzzyBites.com. Basically, Little Ozzy on Facebook, Little Ozzy Instagram. Um, I think when I created TikTok, it's my name, but if you type Little Ozzy, you'll see my logo and you can follow me from there and everything. And microwrestling.com, man, check it out. It's cool. We got an app, a great app, microwrestling.com. Has each one of us, each micro, their page, their videos, their photos, their bios, even merch. You can buy, my Little Ozzy shirts anywhere like that. And I just appreciate you guys. Appreciate you, Robbie. What an honor to meet you that day, brother.
Oh man, it was a fun day. It was great to meet you, and I'm glad we got to do this podcast. And I know I'm going to run into you again out there somewhere.
Yeah,
So,
I hope it's
you
on the
know,
Monsters of Rock cruise, man. I'm trying to get on it. He
I'll
keeps
be
sharing
there.
my videos now.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
I would love to do that. Yeah.
Well, I will be on it. So if you're on it, I will see you there.
I can't wait, brother. Thank you.
Thank you, man. Have a good one.
You too.